Hey guys, Nolar here, and I've got Jin with me. We've been trying to make this video for a while, but of course our schedules are super busy. But today we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about potentially a new meta change, especially with worldwide, or I guess 350 million download coming up. That's usually when they introduce some new mechanic or new meta. 2-3 years ago, right, with Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Omega, they introduced the category meta. Before that, it was monotypes. At least it was category meta on JP. Global was TBA, so, I mean, there's that. But here we're going to talk about this new thing. When did they introduce the separation of super attack types? Was it like 2 months ago, Jin?
Yeah, it's been a couple months, I think, but not that long, though. And honestly, was it not based on an introduction of a new explosive chain battle boss, maybe, or something? I don't know. It was related to something, I feel like.
You know what it was? It was Gogeta.
Like, attack types.
It was Hanabata for Gogeta, because he was the one that nullified melee attacks, right? And that's where we got the whole
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that was literally like about 2 months ago, 2 months ago at this point. So the reason why I'm going to talk about it is because I actually think that this is an opportunity for them to make a new leader skill literally based on the super type attacks that you have, right? So 3 key, 150% if you do melee super attacks, right? And that into itself is just like, maybe they specified more to like super types only, or even further, like pure Saiyans that only do melee attacks, super attacks, gets this bigger buff, right? Like, I don't know. This is a ton of stuff. Like the theory crafting in my head is going off, and Jin are like, let's record this. So let's just see. Like, let's go look at Ki Blast. So like right now on the screen, you'll see my my box and Jin's box next to mine. And you'll see like I've got 408 units that are UR and LR that do key-based blast attacks, super attacks. I mean,
yeah, you're gonna have to break it down between super and extreme types, because that's gonna be way too comprehensive for team building. I don't think they're gonna give us an easy out like that, you know?
Yeah, which is interesting, because like they could be like super type blast. Like super type for me is 259. What's yours look like?
I've got 252 units based on key type attacks.
And then I've got 149. I got 149.
Yeah, I've got 132. So, I mean, if you look at it, let's look at. I'm gonna switch over to like a monotype just to see what the count looks like. 50 units. I have super types that are AGL super types. So, I guess if you look at it, they might have to filter this a little bit more, because it's a little bit too comprehensive of a unit selection list. So I don't know, like what like you said, I guess pure Saiyans within the Ki Blast type attack, like, I mean, I guess they would have to kind of filter like that to that level potentially.
Well, let me see
just
if I did
take a look.
Yeah, so I did pure Saiyans, UR, LR, pure Ki Blast type super attack. I got 154.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
that's
I've
both
got about
super and
120.
extreme.
So
if I did super only Ki Blast pure Saiyans, that's like 122.
yeah, extreme is where you're gonna struggle with the key type, because I only have like 24.
I've got 32. Yeah, so like, I mean, the reason why I threw this out there is because like we've been on the category meta for literally 3 years, and I mean, it used to be just one category, like that was the leader skill, right? Gogeta, Omega. I forgot who introduced like a cat. It was like one of the LRs that came by. It literally was a category plus a monotyping. And then eventually became 2 categories, That's been like a couple years now.
It was the Dragon Ball Super movie, right, with the dual category leads?
I think that's
the
right.
introduction of 2? I think,
movie heroes.
if I remember correctly.
Or around that time, something around that time. Yeah, so like we've been kind of stuck on this thing, like the 150, 170 leads, or, and it's been fine. Like I'm not saying I hate it, but it's like kind of want something fresh. And the fact that they put these super type attack typings just got me thinking like they could do a bunch of stuff. So like the thing is, Ki Blast in general, there's a lot more Ki Blast than there is anything else, right? Like I have 408 for Ki Blast, but if I went to like melee typing only, I've only got 162, which again highlights how terrible Gogeta's like nullifying is, because there's only there's 4 times more Ki Blast than there are melee types. So I mean, just there's that. And And then what's the next one?
Equipment based attack is even worse if you take a look at it. It's so limited.
Dude, I've got 39. Yeah,
I've got 28 units. That's if I filter out the Dokkan non-Dokkan Awakenable units, it's like 24. So I think it brings up a point that maybe they're gonna have, if they do introduce this, they're probably gonna have to do one or two things. One is have the primary leader skill with these attack types, and then tack on potentially a type secondary lead or a category type setup.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe down the road they'll have a triple lead setup. Who the hell knows? But that'd be interesting too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what I find interesting is, like, for example, usually what they do is if like for what is it, Wicked Bloodline, or is it Wicked Bloodline or the Strong Clan Space, whatever the name is for the Frieza the clan, that's a really small category, right? But they immediately gave it 170 boosts with Metal Cooler, right? So like the equipment type super attack, like, to me, that would be like a huge boost. It'd be like, I don't know, 4 key and like 190%, because you've only got like 30 usable units to ever put together, right? So they could do that, or if it's like something huge like the key based one, where there's like 400 plus units, then it would be like much more restrictive, where it's like, oh, only 3 key and maybe 130%, you know, if you wanted some team building. The whole point about this is just like you're giving other people's options to team build, right? Like, because there's some support units that you want to use, but you can't like weave them into the team. But opening this up might give you options, right? Like Turles, whenever he gets his EZA, because he's key based, right? I want to say. Let me take a look.
Yeah, the AGL Turles. He's on the etc. section.
Oh, he's on the
etc.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about that one, because that one's a little weird to me. So
it is very confusing.
So obviously key base makes sense, melee base, sure, and then equipment base. And the last one's etc. I have no idea how to quantify etc. other than like everything else, like, because you got like
maybe it's because it's like a combination of several types. Maybe, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint how they determine etc. on this one. Because I mean,
it might be because like LRs or like STR Cell, right? He has both an AOE and a B key blast one, so maybe they're saying he has both, therefore it's like etc. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
all
but
the
I mean, like, for
Go
example,
like
the AGL Kaioken Goku, he's got the 20 times Kaioken Kamehameha, right? I mean, Kamehameha is technically a key-based attack, but I guess the fact that it's a Kaioken times 20, it makes it somewhat of a etc. criteria or something like that. But, you know, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like random. They're kind of slowly rolling this out, and they don't quite know how to quantify it, but I could also see this happening sometime soon. One reason I say that is, personally, I feel like they were sandbagging the Pure Saiyan's optimal category setup for a while, right?
Yep.
And since they finally rolled this out with the STR Super Vegeta, it almost like closed the loop a little bit on the category setup, in my opinion. Yeah, they could introduce like new categories, but I mean, to be honest, when was the last time you got super excited about a new category being added?
A long time. A long time.
Yeah, so, yeah, case in point. So, I mean, I almost feel like, you know, providing an optimal Pure Saiyan's category lead finally kind of closed the loop on this little stage of the meta, right? And it's almost like an indication that it might be time to, like, progress into a new state. I don't know, but that's just my personal thoughts about it.
Yeah, to me, it's just like all the categories they pump out, they just kind of leave it on the wayside, like incomplete, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, well, you should shore up some of these things before you pump out new ones, but they just keep pumping out new ones. So to me now, instead of, I think what they're realizing is some of the categories they put out that needs help, it's going to be very, very difficult to give them help, right? Like Namekians, all you have are Piccolos, and yeah, you have the same name update, but like they're never gonna link together.
So
why don't we, you know what I mean? So it's like, why don't we put like Namekians plus
don't even get me started with Piccolo. I'm still mad they did him so dirty with this setup. I mean, I'm still mad about that.
Yeah. So I mean, this miscellaneous thing, just to again close the loop, the miscellaneous side is kind of weird. There's a lot of units in here where it's like that seems kind of obvious what they do, but at the same time, sure, you guys they'll figure it out as they go. But to me, like, what would be really interesting, especially I'm just going back to the equipment one, because it's so small. They could just give them like 10% to crit if you have that unit.
That would actually be pretty cool. Within the leader skill, you incorporate status effect upgrades, stat upgrades in terms of like, additionals, crits, or evasion or whatever, what have you. I mean, we kind of see it in the passive, right? Based on certain, situations, like, your crit chance will go up or whatever, but we haven't really seen that from a leader skill standpoint. So that would actually be very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that. Be like, you for all equipment type super attack units, they'll get 4 key, 190%, 10% chance to additional, 10% chance to crit as part of the leader skill. And then you're like, okay, well, I gotta somehow bring this like AGL Future Trunks and Mai plus like the other Future Trunks there, the tech one. The tech Trunks, I was looking at him, he needs a Tapion, and hey, there's a Tapion here that's on the equipment one, so like that might be cool too. So I don't know, there's lots of ways you could play it. I'm just excited if they do it. I don't know if they will, but if they do, it's going to be great because there's a lot of ways to play this out, right? Again, some of the key base ones are the biggest categories, and of course miscellaneous, but maybe it'll be like super types key base of pure Saiyans get this buff, or extreme types of key base gets 3 key 150, but 10 plus 10% chance of dodging, right? Like that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, it would also make sense, right, from a timeline standpoint, because the tech Gogeta unit that recently came out on JP nullifies what type attack? I can't remember.
Yeah, melee.
So like it's with the introduction of this style of leader skills, you're gonna see like new enemy bosses based on certain types, and then you're gonna have to build teams around certain types of attacks, and maybe they'll incorporate more of the nullifying or countering effect or evasion levels or whatever the case is. But I mean, there has to be a reason why they roll that out for Gogeta, right? There has to be some sort of reason. Maybe they were brainstorming, and there's a planning board in the office at the developers, wherever the hell they are. But there's got to be some sort of logic as to that, and maybe that ties into what you're pointing out is potentially a new meta state of leader skills based on attack types. I mean, I just don't. I can't think that it was a random occurrence. They added that to the skill set, basically, is what I'm trying to say. There has to be for it.
I agree with you. Whether or not they roll that out now, or when version Z updates, when a year from now, 2 years from now, who knows, right? But to me, it seems like they put this out there for a reason, and this is my thought about it. Same with Jin's. Like this is something that could come. So, with that said, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, it's going to be, once they do that, best believe it'll be the Wild Wild West on YouTube content for a little while, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Twitter will be on flames too, probably.
Yeah, you're going to see so many wacky team builds that work, or some that just don't work at all, but it'll be fun instead of just like, I'm just going to do, this cookie cutter build. This will make for some really interesting content.
You're probably also going to see the new blood versus the OGs that are like, reluctant to change, like the new wave of changes, people that embrace it versus like the old heads that are like, nah, we don't want that, whatever, You're going to see all sorts of discussions probably at some point during that time. So it'll be funny to see, once they do roll it out. I mean, change will happen eventually. We're not going to be on categories forever, I don't think. I mean, right? So we'll see what happens, I guess.
You're right about that. So with that said, you guys let us know what you're thinking. Do you think we're on the right track here? Is this something you'll be interested in? Or do you think something else, like it's more passive related? Like you have X number of key base super attacks units, you get this buff or whatever, or debuff on the enemy. You let us know what your thoughts are on this. But again, this was another podcast style just to, discuss some interesting things that are coming around in the game. I mean, the game is approaching 7 years now, so they have to change it up. And this is where we think we would go. Let us know if we're right or wrong. So with that said, if you guys like the content, hit that sub button. If you're new here, go ahead, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live with videos. We usually try to put out at least one a day. Well, when we can. Times get busy. You guys know that, all right? Times get busy. Life happens. We're adults. It is what it is. So with that said, appreciate everybody here, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Nolar and Jin out.